Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's a statistician to the stars. He's the man of 1,008 aliases. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you.
And boy, we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more.
Yeah.
You are tuned into the entertainment edition of the ODPH, and we definitely like to keep those conversations rolling after the show. So, Pad, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
If you're looking for the social media links, you're looking for the TeePublic Store link. If you're looking for the blogs, the directory, Pad, how many providers are we on?
We are on 640,540.
And your source?
Trust me, bro.
Wherever you listen to the ODPH on, make sure to drop us a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm of the show. You can also check out the classified section, which has friends of the show such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and a fantastic music section highlighting Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, and Shadow of the Robots. And if it's anything that I might have forgotten, because we do a lot here at the ODPH, it can all be found at odphpodcast.com. And remember, if you're using hashtags on social media, why not use the hashtag ODPHpod? We have to kick off this edition of the show, and like we said, it is so jam-packed, we're not actually talking Star Wars this week. It was upset by trailers that had pop culture on the edge of their seats.
Yep.
We were all waiting to hear with bated breath when these were coming out, and to finally get some dates when we were going to see some footage. And the one that really made the biggest impact, I think, has to be coming from James Gunn and DC Films with their long-awaited official Superman trailer. So, Pat, let's talk about who's in this one.
Yeah, so this is, of course, releasing in theaters and IMAX on July 11th. Of course, in the title role, you have David Cornsweet playing Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman. Alongside him, the leading lady, you've got Rachel Brosnahan playing Lois Lane. Also in this film, you've got Isabella Merced playing Kendra Saunders, a.k.a. Hawkgirl. You've got the incredible Nathan Fillion playing the ever so lovable Guy Gardner, a.k.a. Green Lantern. You've got Nicholas Hoult playing the dastardly villain in Lex Luthor. You've got Skylar Gisondo playing Clark Kent's best friend, Jimmy Olsen. You've got Millie Alcock showing up as Kara Zor-El, a.k.a. Supergirl. You've got Frank Grillo showing up as Rick Flag Sr. Wendell Pierce is playing Perry White. Pruitt Taylor Vince is playing Jonathan Kent, among a host of other folks.
Yes, indeed. This casting has been on point. Everybody that we've seen attached to this film has gotten the fan base excited, and especially when you're talking about the premier superhero of all pop culture. I mean, let's face it, Superman has carved that legacy out for him. A lot of fans are waiting to see what this film does.
Yeah.
And we were finally graced with the official trailer. So now we have an idea what James Gunn is going to do, as this is going to be the literal benchmark of what DC Films is going to be doing under his regime. So that being said, we're going to give you a spoiler-free statement of what we think. After that point, if you're new to the show, this is what we do. We give you a countdown. At that point, you have to be like the Clash. Do you stay or do you go? If you want to stay, perfectly fine. We encourage it. We want you to get active with it because we deep dive into spoilers, theories, anything under the sun. So we have the potential to ruin something for you if you haven't seen it yet. Or you can choose option B. Pause the episode, watch the trailer, and then jump in when you're caught up to speed, and then you can jump in that conversation and not have anything ruined for you. So that said, Pad, we finally have the trailer for James Gunn's Superman. Let's talk about it spoiler-free.
Yeah, the trailer looks good. You know, I'm super excited for this. To me, this is a make-or-break moment for DC as a film studio. You know, just because they've had their successes over the years. You think back to the Christopher Reeve films when those took place in the 70s and onward, and then they took a little bit of a hiatus. Obviously there was the tragic accident with Christopher Reeve suffering the spinal injury, paralyzed from, the neck down. And they did not return until 2006 with Superman Returns, Brandon Routh taking on the role of replacing Christopher Reeve in the same iteration. Mixed results.
Yep.
The movie's okay. It's not great. It's not the worst movie of all time. It's kind of there, And then it was another hiatus until they did the DC Extended Universe with Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill, which mixed bag, I would say.
That's fair.
Obviously along the way you had a lot of animated features. The animated series on television, some straight to DVD or VHS in some instances, movies, which. All of those movies are fantastic, and I'll die on that hill. On the flip side, you had DC with the Batman films. They had obviously the wonderful success with Batman in 1989, Batman Returns in 1992, Mask of the Phantasm, still the greatest Batman movie of all time, and I will die on that hill. Then you get the mixed bag with Batman Forever, Batman Returns, Batman and Robin. Some good, a lot of bad. With both of those movies.
Yep.
And then it was kind of like, as George Clooney likes to say, he effectively killed the franchise until Christopher Nolan decided to revive it in 2005 with his trilogy, and that brought it back to prominence and household name again, and whatnot. And then again, it dipped into the Snyderverse, and again, mixed bag. So ever since, the Snyderverse things and just kind of how up in the air, start, stop, announced, cancel, Marvel's been chugging along. Marvel's 30 plus films deep into their run, and I'm not even counting the television shows. So for me, this film is important and it's integral because this is a make or break moment for DC. This is the moment where, for a lot of fans, you have to get it right. You have to sustain it. I'm not saying it's got to run for the next 100 years, but it's got to have a run. And it's got to be successful because otherwise fans will not care. You have had more hits for the company DC, more misses for the company DC in films lately than hits. Box office wise, critically, Rotten Tomatoes fan scores, whatever metric you want to use, there's been more misses than hits. There's been some gems along the way. There's been some decent ones along the way, But I think for this, there's a lot of anticipation and expectation for James Gunn, and there's not a lot of room, for whoops, we slipped up here or there.
Mm-hmm. I think with this trailer, they nailed everything that they should nail with a Superman film.
Agreed.
We know the legacy of Clark Kent in comics, what's translated to TV. And then, like you touched upon with the Christopher Reeves films, those are still iconic to this day.
There's a reason he is the most recognizable superhero on the planet.
Mm-hmm. So when the movie studios have tried adapting to the times, it has been a very mixed bag, to put it mildly. And then say what you will about the Snyderverse, that is a moment in time. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But with James Gunn and his history of going to Marvel, being let go from the Guardians of the Galaxy project to coming back because of overwhelming support from actors and fans, to then transition away from Marvel to DC, given the keys to the kingdom, he could have played it safe with his first film.
Oh, yeah.
He could have gone with a side character much like Marvel did with Iron Man, because we have to remember at that time, Iron Man was not an A-list character.
No.
By no stretch of the imagination.
He was known, but was he the character?
Known? Yes. B-list at best.
Right.
At the time.
Right.
Is what it is, folks. You can debate all you want, but it's the truth. The fact that Gunn went for the franchise first speaks volumes of what he is trying to do here. And what we have in this film is probably the best homage to that Superman Christopher Reeves era, along with giving something back to the comic fans, because there is a lot of deep dive characters that pop culture may not be familiar with, but they've now intertwined this that'll be an easy access for them. And then whatever they're trying to build off of this, it can only go up. But at its core, this trailer, in its short amount of time, reminds you why Superman inspires hope. And I fully believe in this day and age, this is the perfect time for this character to come back to the box office with that message.
The character in films typically does that a lot. Right when we need him the most. He shows up.
But in this circumstance and with everything going on right now, there needs to be a rallying point. And I fully think that this is the absolute perfect time to bring it back and remind the world why they need superheroes.
Agreed.
So that all said, 3, 2, 1, let's really break this trailer down.
I like the trailer. I like kind of the vibe I'm getting where this doesn't necessarily feel like, Batman v Superman, where all of these heroes just started showing up at the exact same time in the film. The vibe I'm getting from this trailer, and I could be totally wrong. When it comes time, if I'm wrong, I will firsthand admit that.
What do you mean wrong? Like this doesn't...
No. I'm saying if I will admit it, if I'm wrong, it feels like this world is lived in. Yes.
Okay.
You think back to Batman v Superman.
Right. That's a whole different ball of wax.
We saw the first Man of Steel film.
Yep.
It was Superman on his own. Yes, there were Easter eggs to Luthor.
Right,
yes,
but not enough yet.
Yes, there were Easter eggs to Bruce Wayne, but we did not physically see them. All of a sudden, you get to Batman v Superman, and they shoehorn Batfleck into the end of Man of Steel. Like, oh, hey, he was there the entire time.
Yeah.
Then you start shoehorning throughout Batman v Superman. Oh, hey, all these other heroes are here.
Well, they tried piggybacking a shared universe.
Yes, so they kind of jumped the gun. What it feels like for this movie, and again, if I'm wrong about this, I will admit, it feels like we're not doing an origin story, which I feel the same way about Superman's origin story that I do about Spider-Man's origin story. They're both great stories. They're both timeless. They're both seminal. They've been copied down the history in various other forms of media. Dragon Ball is one of them. You think I'm wrong? Read both and then tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We know the story. We've seen the story how many times now? We don't need to see Kryptonics. We don't need a 30-minute opening sequence.
Right, after 80 years, we don't need this.
We just don't. So it feels like this world is lived in. This feels like, oh, hey, we're the third-person omniscient, eyes of God or whatever you want to say, coming in, and this is where we're taking an observance of the story. It's already happened. They're already here. It feels natural. It doesn't feel, oh, hey, we're doing a movie thing. We're just going to start introducing all of these brand new characters and giving you all of their origin stories at the exact same time. Will they get their origin stories along the way? Yeah, I'm sure, when it makes sense. But I like the vibe I'm getting from this. I like that it feels organic, that this world is already lived in, already existed. It's not starting fresh. And I just like kind of the different feel to a Superman movie this gives. I mean, there's the one scene in the trailer where David Cornsweet says, hey, buddy, eyes up here. Mm-hmm. For once, we don't have a Superman brooding while he's fighting for the entire sequence.
Well, you have to remember that's what Snyder was trying to do.
Sure.
And that's the whole thing. He wanted to do a different take on Superman and make him grittier to the world he was building, which is like, listen, it is what it is. If you like that kind of Superman, sure, it works to that degree. But I think where this is just such an homage to that Christopher Reeve era that it reminds the pop culture audience of how, one, impactful that film is, and two, how great Superman should be in this format.
Yeah.
And that's where they really dived into. You really got an exposure to his character, and it really kept him, as weird as it might sound, grounded enough that you could almost relate to what he is doing.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult to do with that character.
Yeah.
And especially when it goes into the opening scene, where you have Lois and Clark, who clearly know who each other are at this stage.
They're familiar.
Yeah. And it comes down to Lois is like, are you serious? And Clark's like, yeah. And it all comes to Lois is going to interview him as Superman, which is a wild take to think about, but it's one that works. And as you see the chemistry going on between the actors, this feels very organic.
There's also a Christopher Reeveism in this where I can't remember which one it was. It's been a while since I've seen him. I need to rectify that. But you remember one of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies where he wants to tell Lois who he is. He wants to reveal his identity. So he's kind of slouched and he's not standing up straight, but he takes the glasses off and he stands up straighter. And all of a sudden he looks like a different guy.
Yeah.
Cornsweat does this in the beginning of the trailer where if you listen to how he's speaking to Lois, it's in a different tone of voice.
Yeah, he changes his inflection there.
He changes the inflection. He sounds like a completely different person when she goes and hits record on the recorder, and he goes, Miss Lane.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, it's the little things that he does, but this is something Gunn knows.
Yep.
Because Gunn, at his heart, is a comic fan, so he understands that kind of aspect. It's such a little thing, but it works.
Yeah.
So as they start going on with the interview, this is where we get a little more background about what has been going on. Mm-hmm. And it appears that Superman has now crossed into a political aspect.
Something went down, yeah.
Because it's alluded that he is now under a lot of public pressure
Yep.
for getting involved in a wartime situation.
Uh-huh.
And you see that the mob is around him as he's walking through. You see the famous shot of somebody throwing a can at him.
Looks like a can of soup or maybe a can of soda.
Yeah, something in that variation. Superman, who is beat up at this point, just keeps walking forward even though the crowd is going after him. Mm-hmm. And then it's alluded that the Secretary of Defense said that he was going to look into the actions, and that's where we get a shot of Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. Mm-hmm. So they are keeping that together from the Creature Commandos.
Yep.
And that's one thing James Gunn has said, that even if it's animated,
it's all one universe.
The actors are still going to be involved in those live action roles. Mm-hmm. So Grillo is making his appearance, and obviously there is some kind of situation going on that he is now involved.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get a shot of what Clark is saying to Lois, and you see his reaction of like, why is everybody mad at me?
Yeah.
What did I do? I'm not representing the country. I'm representing the world.
Yeah, he said he's like, my actions, I stopped the war, which I'm looking at the trailer here. I'm paused at the moment. These two sides are running at each other, and we don't know who this is. It looks I'm not a military strategist. You know, I'm no political, scientist, but like I'm looking at this going, this is a little one-sided.
Yeah.
On the one side you've got Humvees and tanks and Jeeps and guys in armor and full automatic rifles, and on the other side it's a bunch of people in pickup trucks.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is or what's going on, but sorry, it looks a little one-sided here.
It's absolutely one-sided, and this is something that Superman would do no matter what, because he never has declared a political party. Mm-hmm. This is why I know they've retconned his saying truth, justice, and the American way to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow.
Right.
To get away from this, because it was often associated that he was representing the government, and he's always represented the world.
Yep.
So when he's saying, like, he's questioning my action to stop the war, you do see this one action shot where he takes a fire blast. Now, I don't think this is during that scene. I think this is when he's fighting somebody later.
Could be.
That it's alluded to.
Could be.
So I like how they kind of just splice that in.
Yep.
Then you get a shot of the Daily Planet as is, with all the reporters there staring at a TV. So they're obviously watching the fight going on in Metropolis.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to Superman arguing with Lois about what he did, and it's like, you illegally entered a country. Yep. No, I didn't. I did what, and he's trying to justify his actions. Mm-hmm. During this point, we get a shot to he's getting led away by Grillo and his team.
Yep.
And you do see somebody there having him in handcuffs as he's walking in to wherever he's going to be held. Mm-hmm. And obviously this has some Lex Luthor ties. We do see that this masked figure slams Superman into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know who this is at said time.
I'm willing to bet they're packing kryptonite, though.
I'm sure they're doing something there.
Yeah.
And obviously, knowing who is connected in this scene, you do know that Lex Luthor is going to be involved in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, he has his tendrils and everything.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's Lex to a T.
Yep.
So they've got him, and they're explaining about, how the interview goes away from what he's trying to do because he thinks he's going to get sympathy, but they don't realize, no matter what, Lois is a reporter at the end of the day.
Yep.
She always calls it right down the middle, love it or hate it. That's how she always is, and I like how they're portraying her in this.
Love it.
And then you get the question, did you consult with the president? And then this is where we see Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor smirking the entire moment as he knows he's got Superman.
So he's pulling the tendrils. We know this.
Oh, yeah, as he does. And then this goes back to the argument, I wasn't representing the United States. I'm representing me. I don't represent the U.S. I am me, which this is a theme that has been argued at times in the comics, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
That where does his loyalties lies? And he's never said that he works strictly for the American government. He always just works for the people of the world.
Yep.
Which is a very interesting thing that he has had to kind of find walk, because when he's been a part of Justice League of America, that's always been kind of, a gray area, so to speak. But it's been one that, as his character has evolved over the years, it's become more clear that he doesn't answer anybody but himself.
Yep.
But he is the most powerful superhero on the planet. Nobody's going to stop him per se, as long as he's following and abiding by rules in government. So we do get a shot of a building coming down, and we don't know why at said moment.
Yeah.
We do see it falling, and then Superman has to make a save.
Yep.
Here, where he goes diving in front of debris falling on a child, to more questioning from Lois Lane, and basically is saying, I question myself in the same situation about what's going on because it's driving the point home.
Yeah.
Then we see a robot attacking the Daily Planet, we're assuming this is, using laser beams and slicing through the building. And then that we get kind of a more close-up of what is happening in the fight sequence overhead, which, listen, it's Superman, like much as Daredevil fights in hallways, Superman fights in the sky.
Yeah, and I think we finally have the answer to at least what kicked his ass at the beginning of the teaser trailer.
Break it down.
Well, I think it's this monster. Or robot, whatever the heck this thing is.
Yeah,
it's got to be. If this is all the same sequence, and it's not, like you said, splicing different points of the movie together. If this is all just one sequence we're seeing where it's this robot and it's Superman fighting over the skies of Metropolis, this has got to be what kicks his ass initially.
Oh yeah, which, I mean, it makes complete sense.
Yeah,
because they definitely need to do this, and when they kind of set this up, it does make sense that there is something happening, that there's now pieces getting put into place about how he can get stopped. So, like we say, you're going to have to establish threats like this throughout the DCU, because otherwise, if Superman can just run through everybody, it doesn't make sense.
Well, and that's part of been the luster, the magic of Superman over the years, where you think back to the golden era Superman in the 40s and 50s. They would literally create powers on a weekly for him to just beat any scenario. Now it's kind of reserved to the same set of powers. They might add one here and again when the story dictates. It usually doesn't stick around too long. The supernova power being one of them I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the luster of like, okay, yeah, he's strong, but he still has his weaknesses and he can still get beat.
Yeah. So it is kind of an interesting play that they do, and we kind of have to wait to see how this all really plays into effect. Because, like I say, this is just the first glimpse of what we have with that. And I know with the other figure that was with Rick Flag and company, I know a couple places were saying that's Ultraman. I don't know if that is the case. I mean,
they're not going for that this early.
That's why I say, I don't know.
Gunn's ballsy, and he'll swing for the fences. I don't think he's swinging that early.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, that. Granted, it could, but I don't know. Like I say, I've seen that pop up online, like just trying to see about who these characters are that are in place. But like I say, I don't know necessarily. But then again, it's Luthor. He could try tampering with that, and then we could wind up with a Bizarro by the time it's all said and done.
Oh Lord, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but getting back to the trailer at hand, because I mean, obviously we can go in a lot of different directions. We do see more of the fight going on, and then Clark is just screaming like people are going to die. Like, this is what I have to kind of get into. We see him crash into Earth, and then probably one of the more reflective scenes going is when he crashes down, a civilian comes over to help him back up.
Yep.
And this is prime Superman 101, that this is just how he inspires hope in the people of Earth. that when he needs help, they come running to his side. Even after all the nonsense about, the fighting going on in X, Y, and Z, this is still something that makes a ton of sense.
Yes.
The same thing can be said when we get the quick action shot then of Superman flying around where the Daily Planet is appearingly on fire right now.
Yeah, it's not looking good. I hope their insurance is good.
And he just yells, "Hey, buddy, eyes up here."
Love this.
Yeah. Classic line.
Love this.
So we do see him flying away. Then we go to a shot of the Fortress of Solitude, which is being attacked by Lex Luthor.
Yep.
And a character that you might not be familiar with, Maria Gabriela de Farias,
Okay.
engineer.
Oh, okay.
So
Heard the name.
Yeah, so this is one that it's almost like a real deep dive.
Yeah.
Which, listen, Gunn knows his villain, so that's why I said could definitely see this happening. So we see them attack, and then Crypto, the dog, which has been stealing the scenes, is fighting back. So we're seeing this great action sequence going on where Luthor and company are invading. Crypto is fighting away. It goes to a shot then of Superman in a cage breaking out, or a prison.
Yeah.
So you see the glass shatter.
I'm guessing it's something set up by Luthor.
Oh, of course. And then we kind of get some shots around where he's flying, and then there's something going on in Metropolis. You've seen this shot a million times where it looks like there's something neon in the sky coming down.
Right.
So they're kind of making some quick cuts here and there. Then we get to a shot of young Clark meeting up with Jonathan Kent. They fast forward to where he's now meeting up with him.
Yeah.
And really having that father-son talk, which is always such a key point, the Kent's influence on Clark.
Yeah.
Which I love how they kept all going through here. It's timeless. Like it never gets old, and it's such a, like I say, their influence on him has really made him into the hero that he is today.
Well, yeah, because you think about it, his biological parents, up until he meets them, which every iteration is different, when he meets up, quote unquote, with his biological parents. But in most of them, it's not until later in his life, in teenage years, young adulthood, whatever it is. So for those first formative years, the most important ones of his life, it's Jonathan and Martha. Oh, God, that name.
Yeah.
It's Jonathan and Martha that are like teaching him the ideals and the morals and everything you come to know for the character moving forward. So you can do whatever you want with the rest of the movie. You cannot get Jonathan and Martha wrong.
Right. No, that's so key.
It's like getting Uncle Ben wrong in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to nail the core characters that really make the foundation of the hero.
Yeah.
So the Kents, they nailed on point. Then we get a shot of some familiar faces. That this is the, dare I say, Justice League International.
Maybe.
I mean, they've been toying around with a few things, especially if we talk the Peacemaker trailer.
Sure.
That Sean Gunn is back, but he is now playing Maxwell Lord.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this in that trailer.
So now we get to see some other characters pop in.
Yeah.
We see Mr. Terrific for the first time on screen.
Yep.
Or in this trailer, shall we say.
Trailer, yeah.
And we see him going to work, which this is a very cool scene. And for anybody that's not familiar with the character, it's a great introduction into him. He's one of the best characters in all of the DC Comics universe. You more or less see him with the Justice Society lately.
Pretty much.
But now they've given a very big role in the DC Justice League Unlimited, I should say. So Edie Gathje is playing Michael Holt, a.k.a. Mr. Terrific, and we see him going to work with his technology there. And like I say, very cool scene to see play out.
If you don't know the character, very smart.
Yep. And then we get another shot of, obviously, Lex Luthor doing Lex Luthor things.
Saying, Superman.
Yeah.
He's not a man. He's an it.
Yes.
And it has that's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation.
Mm-hmm. So obviously Luthor's trying to spin it that he is the real hero and Superman's the true enemy of the world. And this has been a theme for him in comics
the cartoons, the animated movies,
it's
the television shows. It's always been a thing that
it's a thing.
Yeah. That like Lex just doesn't get it. And that he sees Superman in an entirely different light than most of the world does.
Yeah.
That the world sees him as the savior and this do-gooder and this, hero for tomorrow, but he just sees him as a guy masquerading in a cape and costume, threatening the entire planet.
Yeah. So it is a moment to see, but this is, like I say, it's just driving home the point of what Luthor's mindset is.
Yeah.
That he justifies every action he does.
Yeah.
So then they go back to the jail sequence, and we do see our first shot of Anthony Kerrigan playing Rex Mason, a.k.a. Metamorpho, who's in the back of the prison watching Superman get taken care of. There's a couple other characters nearby. But then they go to the shot of Superman flying in the sky, and then we get the true shot of the Justice League. I'm just going to say they're Justice League International. I know I've heard everything compared with, because obviously there's a Maxwell Lord connection. We get the team shot of Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner.
Oh, boy.
My God.
It's a good year for characters you love.
See, I don't mind Guy.
Sure.
Guy is just an asshole.
He really is.
That's the thing about him. But Nathan Fillion, but the bowl cut.
Yeah.
They brought that with it.
Yeah.
Which I'm just
they casted him really well because Nathan Fillion can certainly play an asshole.
Oh my God, yeah. And then we see Hawkgirl too with the mace. Like I say, everything about this scene is just spot on. And especially you can tell if you really look at their outfits, which they have the team shared uniforms.
Yeah.
They all say JL on them. So I know with Maxwell Lord, and especially with his history with the Justice League, that's where I'm saying Justice League International.
What if they're the Justice Legion? What if they're reserving the Justice League name? They want to get close to Justice League, but it's not Justice League because they want to reserve that first use for when the Justice League actually forms.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it all depends on how they want to try explaining that.
Sure.
I mean, granted, we are a ways from Justice League.
Tell me about it.
Unless they want to try spinning this, which you have to remember, during that early 90s point, there was a lot of like Justice League Europe, Justice League International. I mean, it's like the X universe. So there's been a lot of interpretation about the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love Justice League Unlimited now, because every hero on the planet's a member.
Yeah, it's like the cartoon.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing, but it works. So we do get this group shot. Like I say, a lot to be excited about here. I know I marked out when I'm seeing this. And then we see the young boy during the war scene raising up the flag of Superman.
Yep.
So that's a cool moment. Then they go back to the baseball stadium. You've seen this shot a couple times where Superman's fighting.
Yep.
This is where the engineer pops in. We do see her shooting blades at him.
Yep.
So very cool action sequence as this is going around and he's getting attacked by all fronts.
Yep.
Another shot of Lex Luthor screaming after it looks like something's tearing apart Metropolis.
Well, that or his plan went to you-know-what.
Yeah, it's a lot to guess with. Then a quick shot of Martha and Jonathan getting Superman ready to get into action.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
Yep. we great line as we see. And then we see him fighting a kaiju monster.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, which, I mean, listen, I'm not complaining
Toho, talk with DC. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, they have a great relationship.
They do these days, and Godzilla's fighting everyone these days.
Yeah, like I say.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Go read the comics.
He's making a big return in comics,
Fought
folks.
the DC, fought the Marvel Universe. I think he's getting ready to fight Spider-Man or something.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
I know Marvel's doing the one-shots there. I know the Justice League, King Kong and Godzilla sequel is coming at some point. And obviously IDW's doing big things with them over there, so it's always something cool to see. So from this scene, then, we get a little shot of Guy Gardner doing Guy Gardner things, just flicking his hand at everybody just nonchalantly, which, I mean, that's a Guy move if I've ever seen it. Hawkgirl flying into action as well. It looks like Cat Grant's taking a selfie.
There ain't no looks like it. She is.
Okay, but that is Cat Grant.
That looks like, I'm pretty sure that's Cat Grant doing the tongue out and peace sign while taking a selfie of Superman fighting in the background.
Yeah. So we see this, and then obviously there's more fighting going on. Things are moving pretty fast at this stage. Like, they go very, very quickly.
I'm not entirely sure that's Superman in the background of that shot.
It may not be. Like I say,
they're shooting lasers, but I'm noticing there's a noticeable lack of red and blue.
Well, it could be
if you're on the Warner Brothers YouTube page, 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly on the trailer.
Well, it could be the figure he's fighting.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's why I say, like, I can't tell if that's Cat Grant or not. So
right,
but nevertheless, we do see more action going on. Like I say, it's
the end of the trailer. Action shot.
Cram everything in.
Yeah.
And then you see Superman and Luthor face off. You see Mr. Terrific, looking through the jail cell with Lois. Metamorpho testing his powers out. And then obviously flying up with the iconic kiss. And then Superman flying into the sky and then coming crashing down.
He get his ass knocked back down.
Yeah. So, and then that's how they wrap up the trailer per se.
Yeah.
And then it ties back to Superman and Crypto, which has that's something that's going to be a theme for this film.
You have a dog?
Yeah. And that's how it wraps up.
Crypto is the best boy.
Yes. So they debuted a lot in this. And I'm not mad about it. I think they really nailed the points because there's a lot to be excited about. For me as a comic fan, I love seeing the deep dives. The guy Gardner, Metamorpho, Hawkgirl.
Yeah.
The Engineer I was not expecting. I'll be very honest about that.
No.
It's, it is a stretch, but
I figured
works.
we would have done like Metallo or Parasite or something.
Yeah, you would have done. Well, that's what I say. They have a wide range. I don't want to say a deep one.
Yeah.
But they have a wide range they can go with rogues.
Sure.
It just depends on what they want to do per se. And we got enough to know that this is going to be more so about Superman's impact to the world rather than him fighting Luthor.
Right.
Like Luthor is going to be in that Kingpin phase where I don't think he's going to be the direct one, but he's going to be the one orchestrating the strings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It may not be overt and obvious until probably the latter third of film, but it'll become obvious as the film goes along.
Yeah. And everything that they had involving this, I think captured the essence of what it is because is, the idea of Superman and how does that work in this world. And that's something that we need to kind of really see how that is reflected because obviously there is so much writing on this that they can't afford a hiccup.
Yeah, because if this misses the mark, nobody will give a shit at what comes after.
Yeah.
And it's over.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. And I think Gunn understands this.
Yeah.
More than anybody.
Yeah.
So I really think you went all in about this, and especially just reminding everybody about this character that then when they start rolling out more films, we have something to look forward to because this is the benchmark of what he's done.
Yeah.
Am I expecting this to be Guardians of the Galaxy 4? No. I think what he's going to do is bring out the best of Kal-El from Krypton and give us something to really take home, especially going up in the same month, which I'm saying everybody should be enjoying. We as comic fans get this.
Yeah.
Superman and Fantastic Four in the same month.
This is true.
So if we can get the same month,
good summer.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I am more excited about this film than I thought I was going to be.
Plus, the other thing, too, we got to remember is we're establishing a new universe. Yes, we did see the universe already with the first season of Creature Commandos, albeit that was an extremely limited perspective of things. That was just a singular team in a specific part of the world that was extremely self-contained to what they were doing. The only outside, quote-unquote, influence, or for lack of a better term, we saw was the brief glimpse we saw of, spoiler alert, Batman.
Yeah.
Outside that, not really much else.
Yeah.
So this is the first instance for this universe that a lot of folks are going to be seeing, and there's going to be some heavy lifting done with this movie. And for what we've seen thus far, looks really good.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a lot to be excited about, especially if you're an old school comic fan like me or somebody that just really wants to get involved in this universe and really have a fresh take. And I think as long as Gunn keeps it more or less to the comics and reminds everybody about the symbol of hope and why Superman matters and why it's cool to be a Boy Scout, so to speak.
Sure.
I think this film would be just fine.
And do a story other than the death of Superman.
Yeah.
There's more than just that story.
Yeah, there's so many great Superman stories. Hell, within the past year, there's so many great Superman stories.
Also,
out right
I
now.
will say, if you're an eagle-eyed observer, I don't want to spoil it, but if you're an eagle-eyed observer, you can see the cameo Will Reeve, who is the son of Christopher Reeve, makes in this movie.
Oh, as a TV reporter?
Well, okay. Well, you said it, but yes. Yeah.
We're in spoiler talk. We can say this.
I know, but he does. He is in the background on one of the giant TVs in Metropolis. So that is his cameo, which I think is all sorts of appropriate.
I think
it's also awesome that despite the fact, Christopher Reeve passed away tragically, a number of years ago, we can still get his influence and his kind of touch, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On this movie with his son being in the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of homage to his role, and that's something to really get excited about.
It's a long shot, but I know he and Gunn are friendly. If we can get Michael Rosenbaum in this movie in some capacity, even if it's just a cameo on the street, I'll be a happy dude.
I'm just saying this.
He and Gunn are very friendly.
There's gonna be a lot of cameos in this that we don't even know about yet.
Probably.
And that's the beauty of this. So there's a lot to be excited about for this coming out July 11th.
Yeah.
So tickets will be going on sale very soon, folks.
I expect in probably the next couple of weeks.
It'll be the hottest ticket in town.
Oh, yeah.
Even more so than Fantastic Four.
Yeah, the various websites will be certainly getting their servers tested.
Yeah, so make sure to plan out accordingly. But in the meantime, hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. Superman from DC Films. Trailer is out. What's your reaction? Let's talk about it. But first, we're going to get a quick break. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Vale is into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and one of the most anticipated trailers of the year finally came out after all the press was done for Thunderbolts, as we were kind of predicting, because we did know that Marvel Television has a slate of shows that are set to come out for this year. And the next one after Daredevil Born Again has been one that we've been waiting since 2020, I believe.
Got announced in December 2020 by Kevin Feige, and principal photography took place in 2022. So this thing's been done and in the can for like 3 years.
Right. And obviously stemming out of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we have been waiting to see what was going to be going on with one character who debuted in May of 2016, and that is Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart. So finally, Marvel Television has released a trailer, which we all kind of speculated they were going to do after Thunderbolts was done, and especially after the new Avengers reveal, which if you haven't seen it, I mean, the publication's all over the place. I don't think we're spoiling anything at this stage.
They literally changed the poster in Hollywood like the Monday after the movie premiered.
Yeah, so we had an assumption that they were going to do this and give all this time now to Ironheart, which we were speculating, and sure enough, they did.
Yeah.
So after all the hype was said and done, the trailer was announced. We have a 3-episode premiere happening June 24th, which, if you know us very well at the ODPH, we do not like the multiple episode premieres.
I'm fine with 2.
2 is fine.
2 is fine. 3 is, sorry, Disney, fucking asinine.
I am very curious to know what the streaming numbers are for doing these multiple in one, because this isn't like Netflix.
Right.
Like Netflix drops everything at once. It is what it is.
Right.
This is a little more complex because Disney has been experimenting with this a little bit more.
I'm not a fan.
But definitely not a fan of it, especially with Andor, which is why we're going to be talking about Andor next week.
Yeah.
But for this, though, I'm excited to see the character come in. Like, we're going to do this like we always do. Spoiler-free statement, countdown, deep dive into spoilers. So, obviously, there has been some hype around this character, and going into the next phase of the MCU, I'm excited to see what this is going to deal with. When we get into spoiler talk, I'm going to kind of elaborate a little more about where I think we're going with the show.
Yeah.
But Pad, why don't we just start off with give us your spoiler-free statement on the trailer for Disney Plus and Marvel Television's Ironheart.
I liked it. You know, I'm not super familiar with the character just because it came out at a point where my comic readership was kind of low. So I'm not super familiar with the character. So I'm going into this kind of blind, and the only thing I really know is bare bones and what I've seen from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So I went into, I'm going into this just as blind. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm kind of interested to see what happens after this. You know, it almost feels like it's going to be kind of like a self-contained Ms. Marvel thing. Where like, okay, we're introducing her. We're kind of even though they've already introduced her, you know, it feels just kind of like, all right, we're really going to get her established and get her going. You know, get the training wheels off as the saying goes, and then bring her in at some point down the line, just because she's a name and folks know who she is, but like, it's not exactly like I can see them doing, you know, a 3-movie trilogy based around the character. There's nothing wrong with the character, and I've got nothing against her, but I think this is just a ploy and a way to get her in and get her established, because I got a hunch where she's going to end up eventually, Young Avengers. But we'll see what happens. But as for the trailer, I liked it.
The trailer was solid for what it needed to do, because they're going to put Riri in a situation that we haven't seen to date. And hashtag ODPH pod if I'm wrong. She is going up against one of Marvel's very steady villains. I am a very big fan of this villain.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how he is portrayed on screen. And I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic that they're doing. And they teased it a little bit. They did not tip everything off.
No.
But one thing that I'm noticing in this era of Marvel content, minus Fantastic Four,
Right.
we're borrowing a lot from that Brian Michael Bendis era.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from the new Avengers title
Yeah.
to he is the co-creator of Riri Williams.
Yeah.
There is a lot of his influence here, which is great, and I'm not mad about it. So I am kind of curious to see how they're going to fit this in with the overall Avengers picture. Plus, there is a couple loose holes that we don't know are going to get covered, or they're just going to, stay open-ended.
And for what it's worth, Bendis does have a writer's credit on IMDb.
Yeah, as he should. Like I say, I think we're going to see a lot of his influence on here.
Him and Mike Diodato Jr.
Okay.
Both get based on the comic by credits.
Well, that's good. No, because they are, like I say, they're the co-creators, along with a few others. So it's good that they're getting acknowledged. We're always here to acknowledge everybody in comics that really does it, and especially what's going to happen here. The trailer looked very solid. Yeah. Didn't give a lot away, but really there's a lot to deep dive into, so I fear I'm going to give away some spoilers. So, Pat, let's just get into that spoiler talk. So 3, 2, 1, let's really talk Ironheart trailer number 1.
Yeah, so like I said, I thought the trailer was fine. It doesn't give you a whole lot of like, here's what's going on, here's the villain, here's the overall, crux of what this season is going to be about. It's just kind of like hey, we're getting your appetite whet. The show is coming soon. We want to get you kind of familiar with what's going on. And it did all of that. It got me interested. It got me intrigued to see what's going on. Still not a fan of 3 episodes. Sorry, is what it is. But I'm interested to see where this goes, just because I don't necessarily think we're going to get more than 1 season out of this. But we'll see.
The trailer did enough to establish Dominique Thorne's Riri Williams. Like, we have an idea where her character is at this point.
Yeah.
Seeing Anthony Ramos as the Hood, they're playing it very close to the chest.
With a lot of characters.
With him and a lot of, like you alluded to, a lot of characters, especially one Han Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich's in the series as well.
Yeah.
No character listed. So the only ones who have a character listed are obviously Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart. Zoe Terakis, who is just listed as blood sibling. Tanya Christensen, who is listed as Shannon. And then you got a couple folks, Natasha Ferenzania, who is listed as young engineer. John Anthony Torres, who is listed as Aiden. Graham Otero Livemore, who is listed as Cat Caller number 3. And then you've got 2 uncredited credits with Christopher Koch listed as Sleeping Train Passenger, uncredited, and Russ Panzarella, who is listed as Street Pedestrian, uncredited. As for the other cast members, of the which Anthony Ramos, although that one's out there, it's in the Marvel.com.
Yeah, that's well known.
It's in the Marvel.com description. But yeah, Alden Ehrenreich, Han Solo, was in Oppenheimer. Not listed. Manny Montana, not listed. There's a whole bunch of other folks in this not listed.
Yeah, so we're going to have to wait and see how they all play out. The only thing we know is Riri is back in Chicago, her hometown, after the events of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler is executive producer here, too.
Yep.
So where we jump in is she's walking towards a building. And this looks like she's going into a regular pizzeria. It's closed, but there's something going on here that we have not been tipped off about.
Yeah, it looks like she's holding like an index card or like some small piece of paper with an address.
Yeah. So she goes and finds a freight elevator here and then goes in. And then all of a sudden, the elevator stops, the lights flicker.
Someone's a fan of the Saw movies.
Yeah, this is Saw 101 right here.
Yeah.
And we see that Riri is trying to punch the elevator buttons.
Yep.
It winds up activating a clock. A voice is saying the air is going to leave the elevator in 3 minutes.
Yep.
You're going to suffocate and die. So she has to find a way to get.
She's like, what is this? And the voice is like, oh, it's your interview.
Yeah. So she has to find a way to use a gas mask, and Riri is being very resourceful here. Wraps this. She's like, screw this. Punches out the glass. Finds a way to tap into the wiring.
Yep.
Starts messing around with this. Ultimately winds up activating the elevator again. And
She hotwires it.
Yeah, and winds up prying the doors open to escaping. And then when she comes out of this, you hear a voice go, I heard Riri Williams is a genius. And then you see a shot of Anthony Ramos in his hood garb. Now, one thing to stress with this is his powers just come from his hood because it's demonically possessed.
Right.
So there is a little more to his character when they start, illustrating this. Because, like I say, he's another character that was a big Brian Michael Bendis staple during that Avengers run. So they're not going to tip their hand too much until they start going here. But we do see that there is some back and forth between both Riri and Ramos. And Ramos poses, are you in and out? So he's trying to sell Ironheart about what she should do with her future.
Yeah, because you got to imagine some conversation is taking place about why she's there, why he led her there, what the mission is, blah, blah, blah. Like the usual early superhero stuff.
Yeah, and obviously coming out of the events of Wakanda Forever, it's like she's back home for a reason.
Yep.
And it can't be anything really good.
Yeah.
So
let's not forget there was the whole incident at MIT.
Right. So she's not exactly in the good graces with a lot of people.
She might be on academic probation.
But during this point too, he has a wad of money. If you see in his hand.
Oh yeah, he does.
So
that is a stack.
Yeah, he is tempting her with something to join his crew because that is what the Hood does in the comics. He's more or less the kingpin with a mystical aspect to him. Dark magic, I should say. Be very honest about it.
Yeah.
So we do see this play out that, he's trying to tempt her to join his side. And we do get a shot of her back in New York, a little bit at MIT, or kind of messing around wherever she's at now, testing out her armor and really trying to make something happen here in a lab. And more or less, like I say, it's a shot at New York because you have a professor there say you're not the first genius to get kicked out of MIT.
Yeah, or you're not the first genius who's been at MIT.
Yeah, so they kind of are really playing off that.
Yeah.
Then they go back to a shot of Chicago, and then you see,
flashbacks to Wakanda.
Yeah, flashbacks there, and, kind of implementing, like, just connecting the points between that there and now.
Yeah.
So as Riri's trying to do something, but then they kind of shift back to the Hood talking to her and really trying to sell the point about joining his squad. And Riri obviously is not exactly too keen on this for reasons because she's very smart about this. But he's more or less selling. He's like, I can give you the tools that you need for your vision. Like, why do you want to be a nobody when you can be a somebody?
Right.
And really selling that. To the point then they show this very interesting raid on a television station or
something.
Or a very...
it looks like it might be like a transit line or something.
It could be the transit line of Chicago.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make some kind of attack happen here. I should say, like I say, there's a lot of monitors going on, and I'm just trying to translate like what's in the corner for it. But yeah, I think you are right. So I will stand corrected on that. So you see the Hood's gang come in there.
Yeah.
And they start taking everybody out. And all the while, you do see a very quick shot of Ironheart's armor on top of a car. Then we see Mr. Han Solo appear for a quick second. They don't really explain what's going on there, but we do see that they're now going into that quick phase where they're showing a bunch of different characters. So we don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Other than it's just a Hood's influence about what he's doing. We do see a very cool shot, and I liked how they presented this, where you see Ramos appear out of nowhere behind a guard. And it's very subtle, but this is what he does in the comics with his powers. And he winds up taking out the guard, and then you see the police show up at Riri's house. She's on the run a little bit.
Yep.
And then a quick shot of money falling through the air.
Yeah.
As they've celebrated the win. So you have to think at this point, the gang is celebrating. We don't know if she's part of this or not. We're assuming. But then you see more of Ramos's character getting influenced by the Hood. And you do see, like I say, Riri is trying to piece everything together. She's in her suit now at this stage, too. So we get the great action shot of her flying in Chicago. And we also get a shot of the Hood with his iconic guns.
Right.
Now, this is something that Parker Robbins has had in the comics for eons. That even though he has his powers, he does like his pistols, too. So it is very interesting that they're portraying this, but I like how they're trying to keep it with a twist on this show.
Yeah.
And more or less, it's tempting the soul of Riri Williams. And then you do see how the influence of the demon is at hand, because there's a quick shot. It almost looks like symbiotic that it's taking over, but that's the possession of him, because the demon is inside of him because of the Hood. And then they do show the Hood hanging in the corner of of a lair somewhere. There is a very cool action shot of a bullet going by Riri. So I'm pretty sure this is coming from the Hood's gun.
Yep.
So we don't know exactly what has led to this, but obviously we know the confrontation's coming.
Let's say they had a falling out.
Oh yeah, I mean it is because of just the ploys that have been going on. So there's no escaping what's happening here, and especially when they're Riri's family and friends are trying to talk to her about it, and she's just like, nothing about what you're getting into. This is much larger than anybody can realize. And then seeing how this is going by, Riri's trying to run away. The suit catches her. So we've seen that shot with Tony Stark many times.
Yeah.
But then she comes crashing down, puts her fist in the ground, and the truck goes flying over her.
Yep.
And really, that's kind of everything ends up, except for the bunker scene. Pat, you want to break this one down?
Yeah, so she shows up in a bunker. I'm guessing this is Alden Ehrenreich's character. She's like, oh, it's a shady bunker. And he goes, oh, my bunker's not shady. She doubts him. She gives this doubting look at him. He goes, would a shady bunker have that on the wall? And it cuts to a neon sign on the back wall, live, laugh, love. And she points out, it's literally above a crate of self-guided missiles. And he's like, I'm returning those.
Yeah. So there's some Disney humor in this, which we knew was going to come with it. But overall, I mean, this is pretty much the stepping stone for her joining the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Which this is where this show has always been leading to. I know some people were commenting about, well, it's only 6 episodes. All signs are to get from point A to point B.
Yep.
So you're not going to have a super long season. And if this one does well, which the streaming and the early buzz is, it's going to, and obviously Ryan Coogler is attached to it.
Yeah.
It's going to draw a lot of attention from the pop culture audience. They just have to deliver on this. But I think they have enough to work with.
Yeah.
And I think Ramos's Hood is going to steal this show.
Probably.
And then with Riri, I mean, everything we've seen thus far has been really good with her character. It's shown a lot of growth, and it's showing about her trying to find her hero identity in this whole new era. And then for how they're going to connect the dots to Young Avengers, that's the only big question mark I have. That's a big open hole that they have not decided to say yes or no to.
If Haley Steinfeld shows up in the final episode, we'll know the case.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, or Kamala Khan,
right.
Or if they have some other characters show up,
right.
Which all signs are pointing to they will.
Yep.
Because I don't think they would just do this one and done.
Yeah, they're not going to do this one done and you never see her again.
Yeah, I think Riri is too important for the future of the MCU.
You don't introduce her in one of the mainline Marvel films only to give her a series and then do nothing with.
Yeah, I think the only way that she wouldn't is if plans are scrapped for Young Avengers.
Right, which we got to remember this was, came up with, developed, written, and filmed a number of years ago. And plans have changed since, this was first announced. So we'll see.
It is completely possible. That's the one thing. We don't know if the plans are still for Young Avengers or not.
Right. Because there were a number of projects, this one included, that were kind of put in that wait and see category.
Yeah.
As was reported.
Yeah. So like we say, we do know this is coming out. The date has never changed. They've always said it's coming out. It's just a matter of now they want to give some promotion to it.
Right.
But I think Marvel's obviously trying to transition out of the Kang Dynasty era to the Avengers Doomsday, whatever that's going to wind up being.
Mm-hmm.
And then where things go from there, we don't know a lot about at this stage.
Yeah.
The only thing we know is there's 2 more animated shows coming to Disney Plus.
Zombies, and then I know there's season 2 of X-Men 97.
Well, and The Eyes of Wakanda too.
Oh, right. Yeah, that one too.
And then Wonder Man at the end of the year. Which
in theory.
Well, in theory, but I think it's going to happen, but I don't know if we're going to see Simon Williams appear on the Avengers. But there's that whole different aspect of Sam Wilson's now building a team.
Mm-hmm.
Where does everybody fall in place here? Like, is he going to be a member of this team, or is it going to be the new Avengers with a Z? I'm sorry, just, I'm still annoyed by that ending. But we don't know. But for what we have here, there's a lot to build of. It's been solid acting thus far.
Wonder Man has filmed. It's, according to the Wikipedia page, principal photography began on April 5th, 2023. There's a lengthy 2-paragraph entry on the page about filming that I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just summarize it and say it started in April 2023, finished a year later, and you might be wondering, why the hell did it take a year? Well, the SAG-AFTRA strike was in the middle of that.
Yeah,
so that shut things down for a while. So post-production, it was according to this, Brad Winderbaum confirmed that the series was being edited by March 2024. Yeah, so it's been done and in the can for over a year now.
Well, we do think that it's going to show up, but like I say, it wasn't looking like it was attached to anything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about the character, I don't know how they were going to tie this in.
Well, it's coming out at some point because the marketing portion, it does say, quote, a first look at the series was shown during Disney's upfront presentation in May 2025, which that was earlier this week.
Yeah. No, it's definitely coming. Like I say, just where it's going to fit into place. Much like Ironheart, we don't know.
Yeah.
But Ironheart, though, I think is going to be a standalone. And then if it does well, like here's the thing: if it does well and the fans get behind it,
sure,
then it's going to be fine.
Or I think it's going to be in the same vein of the Hawkeye show.
Yeah, same. And I think it just depends on what they want to do with the characters, and if Young Avengers is still the plan, or are they going to shift to Champions? That's also another area which we haven't gone down that they might be doing in this new era. Because, like we say, a lot of plans have changed at Marvel.
This is true.
The trajectory is off. So we have a lot of open-ended areas. There's a lot of holes that just haven't been filled yet, or spots on a roster to be taken.
Yeah.
So if Young Avengers is off the table, which it could be, then that's a different area. Or they're going to try doing it, but maybe they're going to label it as Champions and tie more into other characters we're going to see debuting. There's so many open-ended spots. Like, I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to have to sit back and enjoy what they're doing here. I'm excited to see the Hood. Like I say, Parker Robbins is a great character, and I think Ramos's version, I like how they're setting it up slow.
Yeah.
I just want to see him really tear loose in the MCU.
Yeah.
And Riri is going to be fine. I mean, Dominic Thorne always does great work. Final thoughts on the trailer, Pad?
Trailer looked good. Got me interested enough to at least check out what's going on. Where it's going to go, I have no idea. But I think that's part of the fun where, it doesn't seem overtly obvious. Like, oh, we're going to start here, end up there. So we'll see what happens.
3 episodes debuting June 24th, but let's not wait until then to talk about it, shall we? Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH pod. Ironheart, Marvel Television, Disney Plus. Trailer is out. Let's talk about it. We're going to get another breakout. We're going to be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week, we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And there is a show on television right now. Pop culture is reacting to a little differently right now. A little bit. That is on the newly christened HBO Max.
Identity Crisis, if there ever was one.
Oh, my gosh. And
Lord have mercy.
And is the video game adaptation hit The Last of Us. Starring Bella Ramsey as Ellie, the miracle survivor, if you will, of the fungal infection-esque virus that is taking over and brought the world to a screeching halt.
Just want to remind folks, these folks never got to experience Return of the King.
Yep.
It's a travesty.
It is, absolutely. So the season has been very, very strong. 2 episodes left, following the video game very, very well. Much like the other segments, we're going to break down the latest episode entitled Feel Her Love. Do it the same way we've always done it, folks. Spoiler-free statement, countdown, and deep dive. So, Pad, what you think of the episode?
Episode was good. Kind of it was there. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it filler, but it was fine.
Yeah. I have to agree. Like this, it wasn't filler, but they're doing a lot of setup work for the finale. Like, you can tell.
Well, and we know that season 3 is coming at some point.
Yeah.
We don't know when because HBO's not real great with following up seasons in a timely manner.
No, we don't. But we just know, obviously, it's been greenlit for it.
Yeah.
So they're doing some things to really get the ball rolling for the finale, which, I mean, all points have been really strong with this episode in this post-Pedro Pascal era.
Yeah.
So how this episode played out was very solid.
Yeah,
Like-
and I will say, though, because I'm just remembering, end of this episode, real knife twist if there ever was.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
They definitely delivered on that. So that all being said, solid episode all around.
Yeah.
But let's really deep dive into it. So in 3, 2, 1, let's really talk about it.
Like I said, episode was fine. You know, it didn't necessarily blow me out of the water. It was kind of interesting just to see where things were and kind of exploring a different part of the world, you know. And then when we got to the ending, Lordy have mercy. I had a feeling something like that was going to happen at some point. I wasn't necessarily expecting it here, but boy, knife twist.
Well, you knew that they were going to kind of dance around that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because now the big thing is Ellie's on her revenge tour with Dina, and they're on their way to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And since they're there, they're trying to stay off the radar of the WLF.
Yeah, because that works so well.
Yeah, which, I mean, they're lucking their way through this.
Pretty much.
Like I say, if I can use the word lucking, because everything is all luck in this.
Yeah.
They have not done anything proper. They have not done anything right. They're literally getting by on the best they can do.
Yeah.
And when they're going through this, they have a lead on one of the members that was part of the group that killed Joel.
Mm-hmm.
They can track down Nora.
Mm-hmm.
So Ellie and Dina take off to go find her in the hospital because they know she's working there.
Yep.
And on their way, they bump into more of the dead bodies of the cult
Yeah.
that's lurking around there.
Something happened, and boy, it ain't good.
No, it's definitely not.
Which I like that part of the episode. I like the mystery intrigue. Like, could they have fully explained what went on? No. Is it better to leave it left unsaid and kind of mystery? I love it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they teeter around it because obviously with that cult there, that does mean some things are happening.
Oh, yeah.
They also teased a little bit about the hospital itself and some
Right.
things in the basement.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to give a full tip off of what it was, but you have a rough idea.
Missed opportunity to not put "Don't Open Dead" inside.
Yeah, well,
I was kind of hoping for that.
Well, they as much as there's similarities to The Walking Dead, they didn't want
it
to
would
really.
have been, I know, but it would have been a nice homage.
Well, it would have been a nice homage, but I don't think they want to pay the homage.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's apples and oranges, so to speak. But even though it's all produce,
Yeah.
but we do see at this stage Ellie and Dina are now having more issues going on. Obviously, it's been announced that Dina is pregnant,
Yep.
and Ellie's
going to be a dad.
yeah. And Ellie is like really trying to piece everything together because now you're bringing her along for this revenge tour. Bad things are going to happen.
The information she should have known, and by she I mean Ellie. Ellie should have known before they left.
Yeah. So it's almost brought to the point of like at this stage, especially after they run into the dead bodies.
Yeah.
Ellie's like, do you want to go home? Do you want to be done with this? Like,
Yeah,
I understand
'cause
if you do.
Ellie wants revenge in the absolute worst way possible, but she has such deep feelings for Dinah, that she doesn't want to put her in danger.
Yeah. So Isabella Merced, who, like I said, is about ready to be the next big thing in Hollywood right now with her role in Superman. Obviously doing a heck of a job here. So they're, trying to go past and really make something happen here. And you see just the anger in her voice.
Yeah.
When Ellie's questioning her and she doesn't want to deal with it. But when they're trying to make their way through and hide out, they do bump into an abandoned warehouse as they're searching. And lo and behold, what happens? They wind up running into this hybrid of zombies.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I understand. The virus is evolving, I guess, at this stage.
Mutating, yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, is to be expected.
It's been around 20-some-odd years at this point.
Yeah, so they've teetered around this long enough.
Yeah.
So they wind up having to make a save. Ellie tells Dina to go into a caged area.
Yeah.
And lock herself in because, well, if Ellie gets bit, it's fine.
Yeah.
I survive.
Yep.
So as they're trying to fight off this group in this warehouse, They wind up getting saved by an unlikely source. Pat, who saves them?
Jesse.
Yes. So we do see the return of Jesse from Jackson, Wyoming, who's played by young Mazzino. And he reveals that Tommy, Joel's younger brother, played by Gabriel Luna, they've left the camp to come find him.
Because they know something's up.
Yeah, they know that something's wrong, and obviously, they want to get them out of danger because they know that they're in real big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And they wind up making the save, but while they're making the save, well, sure enough, the WLF finds them because, well, there's hundreds of them. So in typical video game fashion, they take off running.
Mm-hmm.
And where they jump into is they go into the park that's there, which I thought this was an interesting point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You have this mobilized military unit.
Yeah.
They're scared to go into the park.
Yeah.
Because this cult is there. Did you find this to be a little fishy?
A little bit.
Because why are they scared to go in there if they're militarized, and yet the people that they've taken care of just have knives?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those weird things to me. I'm just like, well, why are they scared to go in there unless they're really they're trying to emphasize about how dangerous the cult is, the Seraphites.
Right.
So as you see the three characters sneak in there, Ellie, Dinah, and Jesse.
Yep.
They wind up seeing the cult has a soldier hanging by a rope, and they're trying to get information out of him. This was a very unsettling scene.
My skin crawled.
As it should.
And not in a good way.
As it should, because you see them literally slice this soldier open, guts pouring out.
Got him like a fish.
Yeah, it's a very intense scene.
Like, they want information out of him. He's reluctant to give it to him, but it sounds like he can be persuaded.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They do not care.
Kill him.
So at this point, though, Dina's shot in the leg.
Yep.
With an arrow.
Yep.
She has to get carried out by Jesse.
Yep.
And Ellie, well, she winds up doing what she does best, using herself as a decoy, and then winds up distracting everybody. And when she does this, she goes right to the hospital by herself. Because she is on that I give 0 Fs tour.
Oh, of course.
And when she's in there, this is when she finally tracks down Nora. So they kind of bring everything back full circle. Teti Gabrielle, who plays Nora, did really well in the situation because she tried playing Nicole, but she knew when Ellie came and found her.
Yeah.
After she's been trying to tend to the wounded here, she knows the ish is hitting the fan. She tries escaping best she can, and Ellie winds up forcing her into the basement. That's all quarantined. Because we find out that down there, Pat, what is going on?
Airborne cordyceps spores, the fungi.
Yep.
Airborne, which they left out of the first season, but this is something from the games, which this is how folks get infected. It's not a bite. It's not a scratch, although that does do it. The primary way is these spores that collect in certain areas. And when you ingest them, well, game over.
You turn. So we see this play out, and Ellie is sitting there reveling in this moment.
And Nora's pissed as all hell because she goes, "You've killed us.
Yeah.
Congratulations."
And Ellie's like, "Nah, I killed one of us. I didn't kill all of us."
Yep. And that's when Nora puts 2 and 2 together and goes, "Oh, you're the immune girl Joel was killing the fireflies about."
And during this whole reveal, too, Ellie is like, trying to talk to Nora, and it comes out that Nora's big card that, well, you don't know what he did.
She's like, "No, I do."
Yeah, and Ellie's like, "Yeah, I did. You played your best hand. I still win." And so when she played that card, it did nothing. Ellie was as heartless and cold as she needed to be. Like I said, Bella Ramsey did a fantastic job in this moment. And she winds up picking up a pipe and is beating the snot out of Nora to find out where Abby is.
Yeah.
And then it ends with a very unique sequence, Pad.
Yeah. Ellie wakes up in a bed and Joel's standing there.
Yep.
Knife twist.
Yep. And that's how it wraps up. I mean, very straightforward episode.
Good episode, though.
But that ending, that got people talking.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously it's going to get worse next episode.
Oh, yeah, it is.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I mean, very straightforward episode. They obviously are trying to speed up a few things as we go forward.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're seeing that Ellie has now admitted she knows what Joel did,
Yeah.
any strength that the WLF had doesn't exist because they're all trying to play off the sympathy. Like, well, you were justified in what we did. And she's like, I don't care. He did it to save me. End of story.
Yep.
So when you see this play out, like I say, it makes a lot of sense. The fact that they've now explained how the virus is airborne, that's an interesting play.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, it's something that's always been in the video games, but just because why?
Reasons.
They left it out of season 1.
Yeah. Well, I think they didn't want to overcomplicate things.
Well, that could be.
Well, because especially if you're establishing this audience to a pop culture audience, you want to make sure you're nailing the points you need to nail.
Yeah.
If you try making it too hard for them to understand out of the gate, you're going to lose them.
I think just the mistake they made, it's not even like a huge thing. Like, it ruins the series for me. It comes off as like we just thought of this. Like if you played the video games or you're familiar with the video, you knew this was a thing.
Yeah.
But if you were just watching this based on word of mouth, you don't know the video games, you haven't played the video games, it comes off we just thought of this. I think it would have made more sense because I don't even think we saw, a hint of them in the first season.
No.
I think it would have made sense if we saw them and someone was like, what is that? I don't know. Let's keep going. And then circled back to it here.
Yeah.
I think that would have made more sense and come off a little more strongly.
I agree. I think they could have done a few things a little tighter here. But I understand why. I mean, the point was to get Ellie on a revenge tour again.
Yeah.
Kind of get Dina away right now with Jesse and kind of go with that storyline.
Yeah.
And then ultimately get ready for the showdown with her and Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to come with 2 episodes left. Like, they have a lot of ground. They have a lot of ground to do in 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that's going to lead into the 3rd, which I don't doubt them leaving things off where they finally have that face-off.
Probably.
And then they go Sopranos. End of episode.
Break the entire internet.
Yeah. But in the meantime, though, a very steady episode, very solid episode. It's been very good, but I mean, they've been, on such a high right now. They had to come level out, and I think this was a perfect level out episode for it. So, obviously, like we talk about in wrestling, you can only build up the crowd so much. You got to give them a match to catch their breath again, and then, boom, hit the ground running. And I think that's what they did here on episode 5 of season 2 of The Last of Us, entitled Feel Her Love. So we gave you our picks. Now we want to hear yours, ODPH Society. Hit us up. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Where you think they're going for the season finale. We can discuss. But we have one more break to get out, so we're going to take that, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you better listen to the ODPH podcast, or I'm coming for you, and Batman is coming for you.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. First of which is some casting news, I guess you could say, because the long-rumored, often hinted at reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is officially happening.
Oh.
It is going to be on Hulu. Sarah Michelle Gellar will be back on the show. Joining her will be Ryan Kiera Armstrong, which, if the name sounds familiar, she was Fern in Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Oh, okay.
Most notably. The episode will be directed by the incredible Chloe Zhao, who you know from such things as she directed Nomadland, which won an Oscar, if I remember correctly. Also did Eternals, along with the writer and Songs My Brother Taught Me. Going to be written by a couple folks, to both of which we know their work specifically. It is both Lila and Nora Zuckerman. They were both producers on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. From 2016 to 2020 for 70 episodes. They also did work on Prodigal Son, Poker Face, and Haven, to name a few things. It looks like Buffy Vampire Slayer coming back to our television screens at some point in the near future.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's due.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since we've dabbled down that road, but fan base has always still been there. Comics have always been done after them, too. Yeah. So, makes sense.
Yeah, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is thrilled about the addition of Ryan.
That's a large cosign.
Quote, "From the moment I saw Ryan's audition, I knew there was only one girl that I wanted by my side," she said in a quote. "To have that kind of emotional intelligence and talent at such a young age is truly a gift. The bonus is that her smile lights up even the darkest room," close quote. So, hey, good for her.
Yep.
Excited to see this. Also excited in television news because, hey, season 1, fan-freaking-tastic if you haven't seen it. Season 2 premiering in December. Season 3 already confirmed. What am I talking about? Fallout on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so getting season 3 ahead of season 2. Awesome to see. It means they're really excited about season 2. Season 1 was freaking fantastic. One of the best video game adaptations I've seen in a television show ever. So yeah, super excited to hear about that because give me more, please. Then we got some more television news or movie news, I should say. And that is we have a director for the Gears of War movie.
Oh.
Yeah, this is apparently a thing because this has been
I was going to say, this has been like...
rumored for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's a director we're familiar with. Some dude by the name of David Leitch did Deadpool 2, also did the Fall Guy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so coming to Netflix at some point, not really a release date, but we do. If we got a director, we're getting close to.
We're getting close to something.
We're getting close to something. So hey, be on the lookout for that. No pressure, guys. It's a beloved video game franchise that's been going for a while. Also in Netflix movie news, the director of the upcoming BioShock movie says that, quote, we're in a good place with the adaptation because, hey, got announced a while ago. People haven't really heard much. It's kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia thing with
yeah, that's been
with Netflix.
Long rumored. But
well, it got announced.
It got announced and then disappeared.
And then we haven't heard anything. Although when you hear who the director of this is, it's a busy dude. The article on IGN does say, quote, BioShock is still in development. Director Francis Lawrence recently told IGN when asked about his planned Netflix movie adaptation of the acclaimed video game franchise, which was first announced in 2022. The subject of BioShock's current status came up when Lawrence was interviewed for his upcoming Stephen King movie, The Long Walk. Quote, I actually just got a draft. We have a meeting with the writer tomorrow, May 7th, so that's definitely a very strong possibility as well, Lawrence said. Now, if you're not familiar with Francis Lawrence is, he did, at least that I can remember, 4 of the Hunger Games films, the original ones. He also did Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He's also directing the upcoming Sunrise on the Reaping. Busy dude. He's also the director of I Am Legend 2, Constantine 2, among also the BioShock thing as well. So busy dude. So it's kind of understandable why it's taken a while. Mm-hmm. But again, video game franchise, a lot of fans, a lot of pressure with it. So hey, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all.
Yeah. And then over on the movie adapting to TV side of things, as weird as that sounds, did you see Wicked in theaters this past year?
No.
I did. Fantastic. Because I saw the film. I saw the play on Broadway.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's more your alley than mine.
So I saw it with my wife. We loved the hell out of it. Fantastic movie. It's the highest grossing Broadway adaptation of a musical in film history. Made a ton of money. But Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are going to do it again, but this time in a live musical special airing on NBC this fall. So an article on Variety.com says a live musical TV special featuring Wicked movie stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande singing songs from the Universal Pictures films is set to air on NBC this fall. The Wicked special event will take place at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles ahead of the November 21st release of the sequel film, Wicked for Good. The musical special will be broadcast live on NBC and streamed the next day on Peacock. Wicked director John M. Chu announced the special Monday during NBC Universal's upfront presentation to advertisers at Radio City Music Hall in New York, noting this is the first time that songs from the popular Broadway musical will be featured in this format on broadcast television. Quote, I'm absolutely delighted to let you in on a centerpiece of our campaign for the second film. And it's something that's never been done in the 22-year history of Wicked. This fall, our stars, the wonderful Cynthia Erivo and the incandescent Ariana Grande, will be joined by their castmates and some wonderful surprise guests in a one-time only event from the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. They will perform live many of the songs from the first movie and maybe a little bit from the second one as well for a night of entertainment that we think will be, as they say in Oz, thrillifying, close quote. Chu then treated those in the room to a special sneak peek at the still unreleased trailer for Wicked for Good, making everyone promise to put their phones away. Quote, even if you reach for them, just know we've got flying monkeys
messing around with that.
Staged around all around the theater, and they take security very seriously. Believe me, you do not want to tangle with them, close quote. So, excited to see this. If I got a hunch who the special guests are going to be, that would be the original Glinda and Elphaba from the original Broadway cast.
That makes sense.
Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, because I wanted to see that at the Oscars. Didn't see it. Got a hunch we're going to see them perform Defying Gravity together because it's the song, it's the movie's or the play's signature song. It's the one everybody knows.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes the most sense.
So will we hear them sing For Good? Probably not. From everything I've heard, they're going to probably hold that one for the movie and go get your tissues.
Yeah.
What I've heard. Moving over to some movie news, we did get is this even a teaser trailer?
I mean, we got something.
It's 43 seconds.
It's 43 seconds, but if you are a fan of the Godzilla versus Kong franchise, well, they've announced that Supernova's in pre-production.
Yeah, it's the title of the upcoming.
Or now in production, I should say.
Now in production. It's the title of the upcoming film. We got a release date, March 26th, 2027. So we got just under 2 years to wait. There is a phone number, though. I haven't tried calling this. It says, reported Titan sighting. Call 240-MON-ARC. So, and then if you're overseas, you can text via WhatsApp at 240-MON-ARC. Which is +1 240-666-2724. I have not tried this yet, but knowing marketing campaigns, if they're including this, you'll hear something on the other end of the line.
Yeah.
Then we also got a trailer for the upcoming second season of the incredible DC Studios television series starring the one and only John Cena. Peacemaker, returning to our small screens August 21st. It's a damn shame they didn't get the notification about the rename, though, because I'm looking at the title card. A Max original series.
Well, does that mean they're still going to do it? We don't know.
Oh, Lord have mercy. But anyways, the trailer looks awesome.
Trailer's great.
The trailer's great. It's more of the same fun you'd expect from the first season. I hope they bring back the intro from the first season, although if you want to redo it and do a different song, I'm all right with that. But
They'll do something different for it, but the one thing to really note, and this ties into Superman, is there's a lot of cross characters here.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I say you see Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord.
Yep.
So it's
Rick Flag shows up.
Yep. No more Pedro Pascal in that role.
Yep.
And then obviously Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner are there as well.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I do like how they're connecting it.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to see what kind of
cannot wait
crazy stuff is going on. Before we get into comic news, there's a couple things that are breaking. The Eisner announcement or award nominees just got announced, so we'll have a little more about that for next week or on Turn a Page this week. So stay tuned for that. But congratulations, everybody got nominated. A lot of creators we've had on the show I see are popping up here, so that's amazing to see. So congratulations for that. Like I say, we'll have something out this by next week going over that. But one thing that caught my eye, and this really threw me for a loop, courtesy of IGN, DC's Batman and Image Comics Ghost Machine Geiger to cross over through variant covers.
Really?
So reading the article from IGN, quote, DC Comics and the creators behind the Image Comics Ghost Machine line have announced a new crossover that'll see the two companies trading artists for a pair of very cool variant covers. It's effectively the first crossover between DC, the DCU and Ghost Machine's unnamed universe. So that's the one Redcoat's in, Geiger, and they have a few more things coming out this year for that. So this arrangement will see Geiger artist Gary Frank contribute a cover to the upcoming Batman 163, the final part of Hush 2. Meanwhile, current Batman artist and DC's publisher and the legend himself, Jim Lee, will hop over to Ghost Machine to draw a cover for Geiger 19. This marks Lee's first time drawing for an Image Comics published book since 2011's Spawn 200. And IGN had the pictures up. I'm showing Pat the covers right now.
Oh, wow.
So this is Gary Frank doing Batman, and this is Jim Lee doing Geiger.
Nice.
Man, really cool stuff. So exciting things. Geiger is always consistently solid, and you know, Batman, I mean, if you're going to say goodbye to the new era of Batman, and then obviously Matt Fraction and takes over Jorge Jimenez later this year, solid way to send him off. So very cool stuff to see. So make sure to keep that on your minds when you go to the comic shops, because you definitely don't want to miss out on that. And speaking of comic shops, Pat, what you picking up this week?
Picking up the issue I reviewed for Nerd Initiative this week, and that is Star Wars Jedi Knights issue number 3 from Mark Guggenheim with Madabak Muzabekov, and on the artwork, you've got the incredible Raza on the cover art, and this one is, quote, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi battle against monsters. All splash pages, all action. The most unusual Jedi Knight's tale ever told. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan defy death in an epic attempt to save the life of Senator Bail Organa on a planet full of skyscraper-sized monsters, close quote. So, For those of you familiar with Clone Wars Season 2, I forget which episode number, but it's the one with the Zillo Beast. It's Godzilla. It's essentially a kaiju monster versus Jedis. If you didn't get enough of that in those 2 episodes, this might be a good outlet for you because it's a Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan taking on several kaiju-sized monsters. I forget the name they even gave you, but kaiju is in the name they give these creatures. It's Jedi. It's kaiju. Where can you go wrong? You can't. Exactly.
It's on point. It's on point no matter where you turn with that. That series has been very, very solid.
Yeah, it has.
All right, over on my end, it's been a very solid week no matter where you turn. A lot of the publishers really delivered it. One, though, that jumped out ahead of me for everything else, Skybound Entertainment had 2 strong books this week. Obviously, Skybound and Image Comics. First one brought back the Invincible Universe Battle Beast #1.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Kirkman, Ryan Ottley. And this is picking up the saga of Battle Beast, one of the most feared characters of all of the Invincible Universe.
Shout out Michael Dorn.
Yeah, doing amazing things. So story is very, very solid. Excuse me. It is one that, like I say, got a lot of life to it. And obviously, if you know the character of Battle Beast very well, this is right up the alley. So one you want to keep an eye out for. And then Transformers 20. So this is Daniel Warren Johnson, Jorge Corona, and this is Megatron coming back and doing Megatron things.
Does he do anything else?
He is doing a lot of bad things right now.
If you're picking up a Transformers comic and expecting him to be like kicking up on a beach in Cabo someplace,
no,
you're not your issue.
No, it's setting up though. I mean, we have heard that Daniel Warren Johnson is leaving the book
at
some point, so this is setting up for his farewell tour, I should say.
Okay.
And obviously, there is a lot of things happening in this book,
right?
To get from point A to point B, because I'm not sure when the final issue is going to be. Last I've heard is still going to be somewhere around 25.
Right.
But like I said, don't quote me on that. I just remember him at New York Comic Con saying that was going to be the deal last year. So, and if he's only doing 2 years, it's going to put him kind of around that point. So,
sure.
Like I say, I have not heard anything official. I want to stress that.
Just word of mouth.
That is my unofficial ODPH guess based off the stuff that he has said publicly. So.
Sure.
But nevertheless, go get Transformers. It's one of the best books on the block. From DC Comics, Green Lantern Corp #4. So Jeremy Adams, Morgan Hampton, V. Ken Marion is stepping in for the art for this book. And this has been, they're kind of showcasing the different lanterns. Obviously the Green Lantern Corps is back in full action. And this one is faced off with Guy Gardner.
Hey.
And a new partner.
The lovable hero.
Yeah, if you can call him that. And Simon Baz, who's teaming up with Teen Lantern. There's a lot of stuff, like I say, they're really having some fun with this series. So if you like to meet the different lanterns other than Hal Jordan, this is right up the alley. Speaking of DC Comics, Absolute Batman #8. Scott Snyder, Marcos Martin is on this one, filling in for Nick Dragata. This is the conclusion of the Mr. Freeze story. Wild story. Absolutely wild, crazy story. So waiting to see how this kind of all plays out because, well, obviously they wrap things up here, but the ending is tipping off something, and it's no secret where we're going next. But everything Scott Snyder has been writing with this series has been absolutely like cranked to 11. So I am very, very intrigued where we're going. I have my own theories. I don't want to speculate. But listen, Absolute Batman is one of the best books you can go pick up, so you want to make sure that is in your collection. Also, if we're talking Batman, there is a series I've been saying a lot about, and I stand by this. This might be the best Batman book on the shelves. Batman Dark Patterns. So this has been the year 2-esque time frame of its self-contained cases in Batman's detective, growing pains, so to speak. So this is Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman, and this is the last issue involving Scarface.
Okay.
It's Voice in the Tower Part 3. So this wraps up the building that Scarface is now basically taken over and is like directing the tenants.
Ooh.
And there's a hostage involved, and Batman has to go in. It's not for the squeamish. It's like, this is some, like, I don't want to say mature readers because I don't think it's fair. But there's some very serious tones here as things are progressing, and it's a great ending. And like I say, I've really enjoyed the series way more than I thought I was going to initially. Because when you kind of dabble in that back era of Batman, you never know what you're going to get. And Waters and Sherman has just been like crushing it with the takes. Like they're not afraid to go places with
Right.
us, and I like that because anytime you can make Batman feel unsafe, it's a great time. Last but certainly not least, Uncanny X-Men number 14. Gail Simone, David Marquez is back on the artwork, and this is kind of a tale of 3 stories right now. So if you've been following, the Outliers have been this teenage group that Rogue's team has more or less adopted in the wake of Krakoa's fall. And one of them, Death Dream, has been getting summoned to this mysterious spot in Haven, Louisiana, which is where the X-Men are currently set up. And when they go there, they wind up running into Man-Thing, of all people. And there's something behind the scenes that is drawing them there, and there's a backstory explaining how we get there. And then there's also the little thing about Gambit fighting a dragon because he has the eye of Amagato.
Reasons.
Listen, Gail Simone has been crushing this book. It ties back to issue 1, and just where we're going, like there's a lot of things happening here. But I will say this: if you're looking for the closest book to the X-Men '97 style, this is your book. The only thing I would say, like as a fan, I wish they would focus more on the team and less on the Outliers.
Sure.
I understand why they're doing it. I'm not mad about it, but it's just like my personal preference. Like I would, the core group that they have is very 97-esque, and that is my wheelhouse. But I love this series. I think this is the best X-Men team book they have going right now. And if you're looking for more recommendations, Nerd Initiative has got you. I think 30 plus this week,
Oh, wow.
if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
It's been a crazy week, but between all the video reviews and the written ones, we've been crushing it. And shout out to the entire team, absolutely giving the best of the best reviews you can get possible. So if you need to know what to pick up, definitely go over there, click on it, and definitely let us know what you're picking up at the comic shops this week. That all said, it has been an extra-sized episode of the ODPH, so definitely hit us up on the website, odphpodcast.com, for anything and everything that is the ODPH. Thank you, as always, for listening. For the one and only Padawan J,
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. We'll catch you again next week. See ya.